went to go on the ranger ride.
You know what I was thinking? You know, be a good name for your dragon? Hey, come here. Hey, who's talking to you? Come here. Come here. Come here. What do you think about calling him Spike?
How's it going?
Good.
Have we met?
I think so.
I'm
Frank.
Josh.
Josh,
Did you say
right?
Spike?
Frank?
Yep.
Where are you from?
From Duluth, actually.
Really?
Yeah, in Brainerd for a little while.
All right, so what's going on? What brings you?
I saw your event on Facebook.
Sure.
Yeah, it got pushed out really well.
Did it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you work with anybody down in Duluth?
Yeah, just, I do some in communications and social media and stuff, which is a little bit hectic nowadays, as I'm sure you're aware of. So, yeah.
Any local candidates that you can support?
I can support in Duluth. I have to think about it.
There's got to be somebody that in your district or whatever.
What district is this?
10A.
10A, okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to get into it, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about your BPOU or anything? Anything with those guys?
What is that?
That's a basic political organizational unit. So that's where candidates have to start, basically.
That sounds.
Activists are. And,
That sounds like an unnecessary acronym.
well, it's an invention of bureaucracy, so
Okay.
it could be unnecessary. I don't know.
That's funny. Okay. So, yeah, tell me a little bit about your campaign.
Well, I'm a new rep here in Crow Wing County.
Okay.
You can see a lot of families here, so that's kind of my focus is
Yeah.
my district. And the growth is happening here, families they all represent. So I'm a pretty basic guy, nothing complicated.
Right.
My wife Carrie and I have 6 kids of our own. And
Okay.
I run a business.
Very cool.
It is.
I saw what happened with veterans tax relief, veterans pensions, and that was really big for my family. So, I really appreciate that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I had worked with Senator Gazelka when he was first elected actually to this seat years ago. It's been redistricted since then.
Okay.
But he carried it, I think, right away, or was actually co-authored on it and was talking about it. I wasn't ever thinking about being political beyond supporting a candidate at that time. Mm-hmm. And then years later, obviously, everything changed. And then when I was successful, Senator Gazelka, then now, calls me up and says, hey, would you want to carry the other half in the House? We've been working on it, for 20 years. He'd been working on it for 10, but they needed a companion, and he and I had a good relationship. And I said, absolutely, I'd love to work on it. But my first question was, isn't there anybody more military or qualified? I'm not a veteran.
Right.
And he said, actually, that has kind of worked against us because people have made the argument that representatives or other folks have had something to gain personally, and obviously you don't.
Right.
So that's kind of going out the window.
I haven't thought about it that way.
Yeah.
So what brought you into it, where Senator Gazelka asked you to run?
No, he didn't ask me to run.
Oh, okay.
No, I was back to that acronym. I was a BPOU chair.
Okay.
I was looking for a candidate, and there were a few people that were interested, but as time went on, Carrie and I were really thinking about what that might mean for us, and was it something that we could even consider with our family and my business I mentioned. Yeah, kind of crazy how it all.
How did you get to be BPOU chair?
I had been working at that level for a while and was hoping maybe that I could do something more, maybe vice chair or something. I didn't expect the chair position to be open, but they needed somebody, and I was available. I've been working on a couple of other local things.
Okay. But I guess what motivated you? What kind of brought you into it?
Duty, you just feel like you want to do something, you want to be a part, you want to contribute. You can walk around and complain, or you can do something.
That's a good answer. That's like Stuart Mills's mission or philosophy or something, right? So I think I saw something about that, like
Well, he talks about
the campground.
his doctrine.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. I saw,
Doctrine, I think.
I saw something about that one time, but it stuck with me because, yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Well, hey, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Hosted by Ryan. Say hi, I was picturing lots of wet, soggy hot dog buns. You know Sadie? She likes your face. Careful though, she might start clawing.
Are you getting sticky? No. Okay. It's all good.
You wanted a chip, buddy?
But she was sitting by Jesse. I got up.
Hey, did you make room for me? Is there room, Katie? Is there? I need Janie.
You need some water, Ryan? So you can see me.
There you go.
The plates are right there. The plates are right there.
Thank you, really good.
Ryan, you want the rest of your water?
Hey, I'm just going to say a couple of things, if you have a second, before, I know we have a couple of folks that are going to have to head out. So 2 years ago, we were here, and I think we had just about the exact same weather. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but I'll take it, it's fine. You're all here, and that's what matters. I kind of wanted to start out and give a bit of a sort of where we were, where we are at the moment, and kind of where we're going. Last time, I think I spent about a week scared to death that I was going to have to come here and talk to everybody. And it's a little bit different this time. This time, obviously, a lot has changed. This time I found myself through the week just excited to be able to come back. And in a lot of ways, even though this is a fundraiser and another campaign, I feel like it's almost a celebration. Last time, even though in our hearts we already knew that we had been obedient and that we had, I think, gone in the direction that the Lord had led us, there was plenty of questions. How is this going to happen? How is that going to happen? And is my obedience and our confidence in the end ultimately going to mean that we win or lose? There's a lot of questions. I asked Carrie to stand with me because a lot of times I'll get partway through and she'll have to remind me what I had said I was wanting to say. And one of the mistakes that I made early on, and Sue and Jeff remember this when I actually got the endorsement, I didn't give Carrie the credit that she deserved, and all of you have probably come to know, if you didn't already, the only reason that we ever were successful is because of Carrie. She honestly is a much better speaker. She obviously is much better looking. And,
That's debatable.
well, so I wanted to start out, I guess, by first just thanking Carrie for making this happen. And that's part of I think, what we've experienced, and I wanted to mention tonight. A lot of people, as they've talked to us, are you going to run again? Are you not going to run again? Asked about, what was the experience, positive, negative. And I said, as long as I had Carrie with me, had the kids with me, our family was together and strong. All the ups and downs in the legislature and some of the good and bad conversations that you might have with constituents who have a lot of different feelings on a lot of different issues, it really didn't matter. And that stability in our home really created a great environment where you could feel very positive in spite of some of the ups and downs. I was sharing, I forget who with, but just earlier this week somebody texted me a death threat. I hadn't seen a lot of those lately, but for some reason it was a little out of the blue. And I kind of thought about that, how I might have handled it years ago, and now it's kind of like, well, maybe it's a part of the job, maybe it's just that I know that we're in the Lord's plan. And those kind of things aren't going to scare our family. So many miracles have happened over the course of the last 2 years. You just rest in that confidence that I'm at peace. This situation has been healthy and rewarding and challenging all at the same time. So sort of aware where we are at the moment. Of course, there's a campaign going on. There's a lot of things that have happened over the course of the last session. Probably one of the most common questions over the last 2 months has been, well, is there going to be a special session? And the answer is probably no. We were very optimistic in the first few weeks. We thought we had so much agreement, and every bill that came to the governor's desk obviously had to be passed in a bipartisan way. We control one branch of three, the House of Representatives. And Senator Bach and our majority leader and Speaker of the House, Kurt Dowd, they all negotiated and had to work through the process and find agreement. As many of you know, I carried a bill that it was a pension exemption bill for our veterans here in Minnesota. I chief authored that bill. Lots of people obviously have been working on that before I ever arrived. And so I just built on the foundation that was already there and had lots of good relationships with people, both sides of the aisle, and was very fortunate to have my bill wind up in the supplemental. There was over $300 million in tax cuts that was passed through the House, through the Senate, and on the governor's desk that got vetoed. Almost $370 million in tax cuts. Tax cuts for businesses, tax cuts for families. And we had for a long time, our tax chair, Greg Davids, had referred to it as the Don't Quit Believin' tax bill. And at the moment, we're kind of discouraged because it doesn't appear as though that bill is going to get the attention that it deserved in a special session. But in spite of that, like I said, I was really lucky. My bill in the supplemental was signed by the governor and became law. So after 20 years, almost 20 years of work, the state of Minnesota is now competitive with 46 other states that already have a pension exemption of some kind for veterans. And that's really a miracle. That's incredible that was successful. Over the course of session, both this year and last year, I had lots of opportunities. I sit on both higher ed and environment policy and natural resources, and I'm the vice chair of legacy. Those three committees gave me lots of opportunities, things that come up in those situations, or things maybe sometimes I didn't expect. For example, University of Minnesota wasn't necessarily a headline up here all the time, but there was a big discussion about life that happened in my committee with the University of Minnesota. As it turns out, and this is kind of disappointing, they originally had told us that we were not conducting any kind of fetal tissue research on aborted babies at the University of Minnesota. That was originally the information that was given to our committee when we requested it. Well, that wasn't true. And we worked very hard to try to come to some kind of agreement. The University of Minnesota is a land-grant institution, which means that the state of Minnesota doesn't have the kind of opportunity to speak to specific issues inside the institution the same way as a MnSCU campus. MnSCU, you can basically write statute for virtually anything, to an extent. And so we tried to come up with some solutions. In the end, we weren't successful. But the thing that I got to visit with the president of the University of Minnesota, Eric Kaler, about in committee publicly, and this was a very difficult issue. There's some folks in the caucus that would prefer that we hadn't brought it up, but you just want to have the facts. You don't want to go forward thinking one thing and find out it's not true. And what we found out through
quite a long period of questioning was that not only are we conducting fetal tissue research on aborted babies at the University of Minnesota, but we're also dosing children as young as 10 years old with hormone therapies that are confused in their gender. Which is, to me, it's absolutely shocking. And how that is okay, even in today's culture, is really a big question mark. And unless we're having those kinds of conversations, unless we're holding our institutions to a high standard, they're just going to continue to do whatever pops into their head. And that was an uncomfortable conversation for me to have with the president of the university, but it's a conversation that had to happen, and we needed to know the facts. And going forward, we're going to have some more conversations. So that kind of brings me to what we're looking at going forward in the future. This last 2 years, the DFL brought bill after bill after bill that would limit your freedoms and continue to take the resources that your family needs. We're talking about taxation at that point. A good example, I think that a lot of people lose perspective, and I like to try to bring that back to conversation. Minnesota, per capita, that means man, woman, and child, exercises $4,000, almost $700 of taxes per capita in the state of Minnesota. You go across the border to Wisconsin, it's under $3,000. You go to Iowa, it's under $2,000, or just a hair over. And of course the Dakotas are in the $1,700 range. Yeah, we love Minnesota. We live here, we appreciate the lakes, it's awesome. Yeah, Minnesota's great. But these kinds of things, the tax climate here, whether you're talking about individuals, veterans, seniors, or businesses, is not friendly. And we have people now that are changing their state of residence before they sell their businesses, moving all of their savings and all of their checking, moving all of their wealth outside of the state of Minnesota because we can't seem to find a way to respect their effort and respect their sacrifice in their business. And that's wrong. So going forward, I'm not going to quit believing. I think that our tax chair, Greg Davids, is on the money, and that he's recognizing that Minnesota isn't competitive the way that it should be, and that 4 years ago, when Democrats raised taxes in Minnesota by over $2.4 billion, that hurt the business and family climate. And we're trying to simply say, wait a minute, let's at least roll back what we did 4 years ago. And the tax credit for veterans, or the tax exemption on income tax for veterans and their pensions was a good first step, but there's lots of other things we should be looking at. And Representative Lewick's bill, which I was a co-author on, that would have exempted Social Security from state income tax, that's a no-brainer. We have so many people that come into the Brainerd Lakes area. They've had a cabin here, they've vacationed here, they've enjoyed the Brainerd Lakes area their whole lives. They move up here, they get a cabin, maybe they stay at that cabin permanently in some context is what I'm referring to. And then we tax them right out of it. And there's got to be some understanding. We like to have a lot of the services, and we like good roads and bridges, and those are things that we're going to continue to work on and continue to fight for. But there has to be balance. And so we're hoping that over the course of the next, well, it's 4 months till November, I guess, to articulate that argument, to talk about those things. Across greater Minnesota, right now, there are candidates running against Republicans, and I don't like to get into the partisan Republican-Democrat thing if I can avoid it, but this is just kind of how it works, folks. Republicans have issues that they have to work on as a party, and of course, there's a difference of opinion, in the DFL on a lot of issues. But what happens over the course of a term is the DFL will run candidates in districts like 10A or 10B or across greater Minnesota that espouse a pro-life, pro-Second Amendment position. They go to St. Paul, and then they elect leadership from Minneapolis.
Where are you from now?
No, I live.
And so, on the surface, it's a great idea. I could vote for a person, and they're attractive in one way or another to me, but in the end, they're not going to represent the values of that district because that leadership is going to start setting the agenda. And you're never, ever going to have a DFL majority that says, let's work on a bill that will protect babies, the unborn. You're never, ever going to have the DFL work on a bill that says, we're going to go ahead and strengthen your Second Amendment rights. It's a nice thought, and on some votes, you may have some people that will look at their districts and they'll let people off and they'll continue to vote as though that's a priority. But it, in the end, is never going to further the cause on those issues. And when we start talking about marriage and other moral issues, it's been really disappointing. We've had a number of opportunities, and I'm going to mention this quickly because I think it matters, to work on an issue in regard to bathrooms. Never ever did I think, or probably most of us here, that you would have to pass a law that designated the men's room as the men's room, or the women's room as the women's room.
It's a public park.
And
It is a private event.
that's where we're at.
It's a private event.
So,
We rented this facility.
just so you know, there was a tweet that went out
Is there a
in
manager, owner of the facility?
earlier this afternoon encouraging folks maybe to come to our event
Okay.
from the other side
I
of the
just need
aisle,
like
and
the
there
owner and
might be
manager of the
some
facility,
conversation
past
around
maybe.
that, because
That's okay.
we'd like the
It's
event
a
to stay private,
Public park.
even though it's an open area, so we're not recording anything tonight. So I can just talk kind of heart to heart with people that have supported me. So, the bottom line is, Carrie and our family are prepared to run again. And I wish that we could do it all on our own. I wish that I could just carry the load. But then on the other hand, I'm really grateful to have so many awesome people that are willing to stand with us. And there have been times throughout the course of the last 2 years where issues come up, and constituents have contacted us, talked to Carrie and I, and really blessed us by helping us kind of see perspective on an issue. And a good example is the Explore Minnesota tourism bill. I was asked to carry an $11 million increase to their budget. And I couldn't explain to my leadership, I didn't have any good reason why not. The representative from the Lakes area, Crow Wing County, always carries that bill. And the more we talked about it, the more we sought the Lord on it, I just had a no-go. My heart was not allowing me to move forward and support that bill. And much to the chagrin of my leadership, I had to continue to stand and not work on that, so they gave it to another representative, Representative Fabian, took it, and about 3-4 weeks after session ended, and I'll preface this comment by pointing out that obviously a lot of you guys know that marriage was an important issue in Crow Wing County, and it was a big part of the discussion 2 years ago. Well, 3-4 weeks after session ended, Explore Minnesota Tourism released an ad buy, and the details of the ad promoting Minnesota as a destination for couples that were of the same sex wanting to get married. That ad didn't run in Minnesota. It ran in states all around Minnesota with different law in regard to same-sex marriage. So, I just am wanting to leave you with that, I guess, to pointing out, when I first talked to everybody here 2 years ago, I referenced 1 Kings chapter 3, verse 9. There's 2 accounts, Solomon on his bed asking. One account he asked for wisdom, and I like the account in Kings because he talks specifically about asking for an understanding heart that would know the difference between good and evil, that he would judge God's people rightly. And so many times on the surface over the last 2 years, there's things that seemed right to man, that seemed right to me, but thankfully the Lord protected us from those things, and we're very blessed to be able to keep out of those kind of situations like that Explore Minnesota tourism bill. So my commitment to you is that we are going to continue to represent your values, to continue to stand as a family together on the issues. And we are so grateful for your support and for your help. We can't thank you enough. So I'm going to leave it at that, and we can continue the picnic. I'll take a couple questions. Sure, you got.
Have you gotten any follow-up or about this not taxing the veterans as much in the state? Have you heard directly from folks on that?
Well, first of all, just you know that the bill did pass. It is law.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we've met with a lot of different veterans groups. I've had some meetings here with local groups. And then Bob Detmer, the chair of our Veteran Services Committee, he has been, of course, meeting with people all around the state and talking about the impact of having exempted pensions from state income tax here in Minnesota. So there's been a lot of feedback, and people are obviously pretty happy about that. I didn't mention this earlier, but that's 18,000 veterans currently in Minnesota that would be affected. And, you know, veterans, when they decide where they're going to spend the rest of their years, you know, they're obviously going to be very careful about where they choose to go. And Minnesota was not on that short list. There's no question about that being a difference. Now, as time goes on, we're going to see people coming here that otherwise wouldn't have. Any other things that are on people's minds that I might not have hit? You know, I just want to thank everybody again. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up, and feel free to hang out as long as you want. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you.